Don't say no. 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 No, we shouldn't keep holding out, but you don't let go.
Hey! Yeah, it's already...
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Hugo.
I'm Jake. I'm going to see if the event tracker works.
That'd be great. And today we're here to talk about...
I don't know if that's accurate. I also don't know if this YouTube chat is accurate. I think they're linked to the other channel. Someone say something. Nah, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna leave our cool things tied to the real channel. Right. I think I want to. Do I want to wear these right now? Yeah, I'll wear these.
All right.
I'm gonna wear the glasses.
Hello, everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful E3. Today we're coming to you with our first live stream to talk about what happened at E3, and the first one we're going to talk about is the one that we were most anticipating.
Yeah.
And maybe I was hurt a little bit by it.
We heard it? I don't know. It's kind of like, I'm in between hurt and not hurt, personally.
Today we're going to talk about Bethesda's E3 press conference. Interestingly, they actually showed up earlier in the day. I didn't expect it. They showed up at Microsoft's press conference.
Yeah.
And showed a trailer for Fallout 76.
A little bit more of stuff, like new enemies and stuff, which is neat. So at that point, before we actually...
Yeah.
Am I still hearing music?
I am.
Where's it coming from?
Your TV.
Is it coming from the TV? Okay, well, it's not picking up on there. I mean, I muted the... Never mind. You can't hear the music. That's fine. I'm just going to give that guy ad money as that runs.
Okay.
So, anyway, how did you feel as it started? Like just the Microsoft part. Just that part. I'm going to keep these up for a little bit. But...
I was actually, and I'll talk about this when we get to Fallout 76 and how I feel its initial marketing was very deceptive.
By the way, we were partaking at this point, weren't we?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe we were skewed?
No, at this point at the Microsoft thing...
No, we hadn't yet, because we hadn't gone eaten yet.
No, it was his birthday that weekend. Anyway, we were celebrating his birthday that weekend. Anyway, so the conference starts out. Pete Hines comes out. They talk for a while. I actually felt really bad about Andrew WK.
Wait, we were talking about the Bethesda thing. I'm asking how you felt about the Microsoft thing.
Oh, the thing that they showed, I thought it was fine.
Like
it made me feel like they were going to announce, oh no, this Fallout's going to be more like Fallout New Vegas. Again, at the Microsoft thing, much like with the original trailer, there was sort of a tipped hand towards multiplayer, but not what we ended up getting. But again, I want to save Fallout 76 until, like, the end of this.
That's kind of how I felt, too. It looked not bad. Like, it looked like a Fallout, right? They showed some gameplay. They showed some, I assume, like, beta versions of the visuals. It looks like Fallout. I mean, they already had all the assets, so I can't imagine it was that hard to make this game, which is why they probably made this game. But, like, for the most part, I don't know. It didn't, like, really impress me or anything. It didn't. That trailer alone that they showed at the Xbox conference didn't annoy me.
This is what set me up to feel disappointed. Because at that point, because they hadn't brought up the multiplayer yet, at that point I was kind of like, maybe they'll be optional multiplayer. Because I was feeling very much, if they hadn't brought up multiplayer in the first trailer, in the second trailer, why would they be that deceptive about it? But again... We'll talk about this when we get to Fallout 76 later. The first thing that came out was Pete Hines for a little bit, and then they revealed Rage 2, which I actually did want to talk about for a little bit, because I have a little bit to say about it. I didn't play the first Rage, actually. Did you play any of it?
Do I have it on Steam? Ugh. I maybe did on a Humble Bundle or something.
Sure.
But I hear good things about it, sort of. Our buddy Alex, who was with us that day, really enjoy. I always call him Buddy Alex.
You do.
That's weird. Hi, buddy Alex. So he really liked Rage, and he was really pumped about Rage 2. It looks good. It's a very over-the-top sort of Mad Maxy meets Fallout.
You know what I found interesting? When they had Andrew WK come out, and the original trailer had the same song, the marketing for this game and the actual tone of this game, again, I didn't play the first Rage. Maybe I'm wrong. Feels super dissonant to me.
Yeah,
it's like the marketing... Like,
it was. No, but the game itself is over the top like that. But the marketing for this is on point. This makes sense.
No, see, it feels like, to me, they're marketing it like it's a Borderlands. I didn't get from the gameplay that, sure, there's some mohawks and colors, but...
It's not... You know, Borderlands kind of takes the idea of that trope and goes, haha, isn't that absurd? That's not what happens in Rage. In Rage, it's like, look at how absurd you can be in a rather... serious is not even the right word. It's, you know how Mad Max is serious, but I mean, they have Flamethrower Guitar Guy. You know what I mean? It's not, like, rooted in a reality that exists.
The gameplay I saw just didn't scream, like, overly, or even, like...
It's hyper-violent.
Even subtly comic to me. It just felt like sci-fi post-apocalypse shooter with, like, some melee weapons.
That's a boomerang is the opposite of a melee weapon.
You know what I meant, as opposed to a firearm. I meant throwable...
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to reload a boomerang blade thing. No, it plays a lot like... kind of Doom without the executes.
Okay.
So I mean, it is over the top. It's intentionally actiony, forward. But goddamn, if that Andrew WK thing wasn't the cringiest shit. Like poor Andrew WK. Someone called him Andrew W Cancer with a K. Yeah, I kind of agree. The music was fine. It was.
I think E3 is a bad venue for that specific.
That's what I'm
kind
saying.
Of thing.
Like, because they keep doing crowd shots to try to be like, hey, look, the crowd's into it, and the camera people are like, they're not into it.
Because no one at the end of the day, all of us are at E3. It's the only industry where we'll all get super excited and line up to watch fucking commercials. It's a big marketing event.
Yeah.
You can have some fun with it, but you always have this conflict between the marketing and the cynicism of trying to sell people on this concept butting up against the realities of it, and people... I get it. Andrew WK could be like a fun thing in a different context. Bethesda, you're here to sell me on a thing.
I really don't like him actually being there to sell Rage. Does that make sense? If they had videoed him, like, and it was a music video with Andrew WK, and they did like a bit. No, I know, but him in person makes it really bad when people don't respond well to the music. But because it's got this concert feel to it, as a person who's only there to see video games, a concert is not what we're here for. Like, Microsoft got panned years ago. I think it was I mentioned this to you. It was the Halo 4 thing. And I believe they brought Adele out instead of just showing Halo 4, and they got destroyed. I think it was Adele. Okay. And it felt the same way on a smaller scale, just cringe, not with the Rage. Sure. I don't know. I think overall, though, in Bethesda's credit, Pete Hines and our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, they are the most comfortable... two on stage.
Well, of course they are, but they've been doing this for years.
No,
years.
I know.
Todd Howard's been doing it.
The only guy that I think beats them is what's the Sony guy's name? You know, I don't know if is he black or just like multiracial, but
I don't know.
The big guy? Oh, he's great.
I don't know.
Anyway, or is he the Nintendo guy? Am I thinking of the Nintendo guy?
Are you thinking of Reggie Fils-Aimé?
That's the one. He's the Nintendo guy. I love him. Because he's so fucking weird.
You thought Reggie Fils-Aimé was black for a second?
What? No, he's what is he? Is he just Japanese?
I don't know.
He's racially ambiguous. He's not just a cracker.
I thought he looked mostly like a white guy. Anyway.
No, what? Nah.
Anyway.
Nah.
So Rage 2,
Someone find that out for me. Find that information. If I'm wrong, he just tans a lot.
Rage 2 looks like a good time. I'm probably at least going to rent it. I don't know. I'll probably wait for reviews. But
what happened right after Rage 2? Was it the Doom stuff with the VR? They did their VR suite. They kind of did a montage of all that shit, which is fine. I think
Doom Eternal, which is the sequel to the reboot of Doom from, I believe, last year or the year before, did very well. Heard it was great.
Yeah.
Heard it did a great job of bringing back the classic action-paced first-person shooter action title like that in a very classic way. I'm not a big fan of that kind of thing. I tend to like RPG elements in my shooters.
Now,
but
I
if
hear
you're a fan of that,
Doom has a little bit of, as far as the weapons and stuff are concerned, but I hear it's a really good game. I'm not really into it. I still haven't played the original remake. Well, not the original, but
I'm not nostalgic for it.
Yeah,
so but
like they also did the Quake thing, which if you're into Quake,
sure.
That's fine as well. My cousin played Quake a lot. It's one of the first first-person shooter. It might be the first first-person shooter I ever actually played.
They were Doom people from before. They were called first-person shooters. It was a Doom clone. That's what people call it.
Yeah, so it might have been the first FPS I actually ever played. Hard as fuck, rocket jumps, etc.
Yeah.
Like rocket jumps still pervade kind of the social, like, how we talk about stuff sometimes.
Well, that's still been a thing in games since.
No, I know, but that's why I think it's interesting. Like, Quake is not a super popular game anymore, at least not in general. I think there's definitely a cult following for, like, kind of like how Brawl has, like, those are the Brawl people. They have Quake people.
Yeah.
Smash Brawl. Yeah.
Melee, you mean?
Oh, yeah, Melee, not Brawl.
I know what you mean.
But yeah, it's not really my thing. Of course, I didn't know this. Did all the characters in Quake always have special abilities?
I'm not a Quake player. I've never played it. I don't know.
You never played it
That
once?
was before my time.
Yeah, it was a little bit, but...
not before I was born, before I was playing a video game.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. They have like these new characters and stuff. It's really weird. It's almost like they're kind of steering into the Overwatch.
Hero shooter. But I think Quake is kind of the originator.
Is it though? I don't know if but I don't know if they actually stood apart.
I don't know.
Or because I thought they were all just Quake guys. But by the way, we are taking super chats. I see that that's happening right now, but we're having a discussion. But if you absolutely want to break through, we might pick one because you got it open on your phone. But that's the best way to do it.
What else? Wolfenstein. They announced, Wolfenstein.
This one. I don't know. It's the daughters.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Why? Oh, you're being sarcastic. I get it.
See, you and I, we don't actually feel... Like, that was so genuine of you. Like, why does it matter if it's...
Yeah.
The internet.
I don't know, whatever.
Is just a hive.
I like the idea of the Wolfenstein universe more than I enjoy playing the games. Again, I'm not a big fan of first-person shooters if there isn't some deeper elements to get into it,
I really am a fan of how much Bethesda was like, yeah, we want to kill fucking Nazis. They said it like 2 or 3 times. It was pretty great because, I don't know, it's like... It's nice to not have this sort of worried about the alt-right, like, mobbing your shit.
Yeah.
Feel. I really enjoy that. I mean, you saw that with the Battlefield shit.
Sure.
That was, what a shit show. I can't wait to talk about that when we talk about Xbox.
Let's see, what else got announced? Fallout Shelter is coming to the PlayStation 4 and Switch.
I got it for Switch already, because it's free.
I could see
that. I like
that.
the touch screen. It's really nice on Switch.
I could see getting it for free. Fallout Shelter was actually one of the only mobile... I mean, I play mobile games, but a lot of them are like, micro-transaction-y trash. I never touched
You can with this, like, you can speed things up with Nuka-Colas, but I don't...
But for the most part, I think Fallout Shelter is a fine...
pails.
It's a fine game on its own that you can play without it being...
I think I'm going to uninstall it. I was just kind of see how the pace of it was. It's kind of one you have to keep going back to.
Sure. Well, that's what it is.
It runs in the background, yeah. I know it is, but it's kind of, like, I don't like to invest into something that much. Like, I can shut it off, and when I do shut it off, it doesn't work. But you know how you have a Switch. Switch has, like, a sleep mode.
Yeah.
It runs in the background in sleep mode. So, yeah, I just had to turn it off to make it... I don't know if I'm going to turn it back on. Darkest Dungeon's on there, too. That's been on there a while. Switch is killing it. But... I can't believe I thought about this, even though they made a joke about this with the Alexa thing. I considered buying a $60 version of Skyrim for Switch for just a second, and I thought, why the fuck would I do that? No, I'm not going to do that. But the Alexa thing's real. That turned out to be real. Did you know that?
What?
Did you not watch you sent me a video where he talks about that.
Oh, was it just a little joke thing you can do and it like automatically makes up stuff going on?
No, they did it. As a joke and as like real.
As like in...
I don't know how far it goes, but yeah.
But it's a little thing. That's funny.
Yeah, so if you don't know what the Alexa thing is, you know how they've ported Skyrim to like every possible conceivable thing. Oh, and they talked about Blades, which was a mobile game.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. But they put it on Alexa, you know, the Amazon thing. And they had Peele from Key and Peele. What's his first name? Jordan? No, that's Jordan Key.
No, that's Jordan Peele. Keegan-Michael Key.
Keegan-Michael Key. And so they had Key. And and he basically narrates his way through some Skyrim, and that's real. Like, you can actually do it. If you say Alexa, play Skyrim, if you have an Alexa, it will do it.
The self-referential jokes in this
I appreciate that.
Mostly pretty good. Todd Howard actually had a moment that felt like real self-reflection.
Yeah, we laughed about it in real time as that happened.
Because he was like, as I found out, sometimes things don't just work. And there's like an actual pause for a second.
Yeah, because, you know, it just works. The building mechanic in Fallout he's referencing, and it doesn't actually work that well. Like, there had to be snap mods made and stuff for it to really run on PC correctly. And later on, you know, with the... Oh, what's their mod thing called? I forget what their mod thing is called. Creation. Yeah, Creation Club. We're part of a club, guys. Where we commandeer your mods. And you get paid, though. It was good. I like that Todd Howard understands his ubiquitousness in the meme universe on the internet as far as game creation is concerned, because he is he has said so many platitudes and untruths that I don't want to call them lies. I think he definitely thought it just worked, but they don't. Did they just not beta test enough? Like,
you know what?
What is that about?
I honestly wonder, considering that Todd Howard is like a boss.
Because I don't think he doesn't believe what he says.
I wonder, because when you're going to your boss, you obviously show him,
Right.
like, the shit that works the most.
And we were
you know
talking
what I
about
mean?
this. The Bethesda studio, like their office, it's optimized to run their system.
Yeah.
Like, so they probably don't run into the de-optimized bugs a lot. Because it doesn't happen as much on consoles as it does on PCs. Because they vary so much.
Yeah.
Although, like, Fallout 3 was still a problem on PlayStation.
The week up to E3, I was playing Fallout 4 a lot. It was crashing on me constantly on console. On my PlayStation 4 Pro.
I have a hard time playing it on my PC, which crushes Witcher 3. So I don't... it's a pretty bizarre situation. I don't know. I like Todd Howard, and I'm worried someday I won't like Todd Howard.
He's a good salesman.
He's not just a good salesman. I think he genuinely wants games to be cool. Like, I think he cares about the games. But then, of course, we could talk about Blades for just a second, because
Sure.
it's pretty cynical product in general, where it's like a swipe and it works on mobile.
Fruit Ninja Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, it looks boring. And do you pay for that?
No. That's a free one as
That's
well.
a free one as well?
But it'll have microtransactions, I'd imagine.
Okay, let's see if we can download it while
It's
you're talking.
not out yet.
Oh, well.
Remember, you can pre-order the free app.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I understand why.
I was going to play some Blades.
It just sets it in a queue. And I'll probably check it out when it comes out. But again, what concerns me about moves like this is the concern that they'll start making a ton of money on that shit.
Yeah.
And they'll, follow those instead of...
Well, and that's what they're doing with Fallout 76, which I guess we could just talk about right now.
Firstly, let me just say,
Yeah.
I think, and you're going to disagree with me on this and we can talk about this, I think whether or not you're excited or not excited for Fallout 76, I think we should all agree, Jake doesn't agree with me, the way Bethesda went about announcing it was very poor and misleading.
I don't think so, because it was only like 5 days.
I think the fact is they knew there was going to be a 5-day period where people were going to be talking about it.
Yeah, I think it's amazing marketing.
And speculating. Okay, but there's a very...
Like, we literally did that.
Okay, but you can say it's effective marketing and still say it's dickish marketing. You can... It's not mutually exclusive. You
It's
can
like
have
saying
asshole
Cloverfield marketing was an asshole.
No, I disagree. I
What?
disagree. I completely
I
fucking
think it's
disagree.
only because you love, like, Fallout.
Clearly, they could have made it very clear in the first trailer this is an online-only experience. They chose not to do that because even in the announcement when Todd Howard comes up and starts talking about it, he's like, hold on. And when he says it's online-only, he's like, I know. The company knows internally how this looks externally and that it doesn't look good, especially considering earlier in the year or last year they did that single-player healthcare video that they did where they were like, we're all about single-player games. It's not a good look. Again, this has nothing to do with the quality of the game. I don't think this is actively getting in the way of them making actual single-player games. I just think they should have outright said in the first trailer, this is a completely online game, more details are going to happen during E3.
I think it doesn't matter at all. But
I think it matters a lot.
if it doesn't. But if it would have been out for, like, a month or two, then yeah, I think. Like, then you would have had, like, actual thing, but like we knew it was online. I knew it was online that day. I don't know about exclusively online, but it was very clearly a multiplayer Fallout. Like immediately, we got information immediately.
Okay, how about this? The difference between you and I and someone, for instance, on Facebook, the trailer.
Sure.
After E3, after they had announced the whole trailer, after the whole trailer had come out, they had posted it to Facebook. I went and looked at the comments because I'm curious what the general public consensus is on this. Still people in there. Most of the people thought it was like a New Vegas style single player. The general audience that doesn't follow E3 closely
weird.
Still doesn't know what this thing is.
Well, I don't think
And
they
I think
know
it's
what,
intentional.
To be fair, I don't necessarily know that Bethesda knows. Here's my... So, what Bethesda does is they kind of add a new thing to a game, not for it to work, but for it... Like, it's almost like market data collection, where they'll be like, "Hey, do you guys like we talked about it earlier? Hearthfire? It's only a $5 addition to Skyrim. Do you like building stuff? Oh yeah, it sold a lot. Ooh, neat. So let's add and you want more crafting? We hear about that. So let's add that to Fallout 4.
I'm not against any
Hold
of this.
on, no, I'm not either. What I'm saying is, they built a whole game to test the waters and cheaply. Like, let's be real, that West Virginia thing looks like Fallout 4. Right? I mean, those assets are exactly the same.
Because it's the same assets, yeah.
Right, I know. I'm saying, like, this was not expensive or hard to make. They can easily pop 12 to 24 people, I think it's 24, on a map, and you go build. We'll have some servers, and we have some quests, which they haven't done yet. So that they can see if people... Because there's two things happening right now. Of course, the Battle Royale thing is very big. This adds an aspect of that to get some of that crowd that also likes Fallout. And I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm just saying this is clearly what they're doing. And then the other thing they're doing is they're being like, okay, you didn't like voice protagonist? Hope you don't like voiced anything. So they're going to add... There's no NPCs, all the which makes sense for what the setting is. Fallout 76 first vault to open. There would be no NPCs except probably ghouls, and I don't think they're all feral in here.
Robots. And
yeah, so there's robots and holotapes, and the overseer, whoever that is probably a robot. It probably is, and so you go out. I think they're going to add a little bit of the Fallout shelter to it. I don't know though, because they said it's not going to have any. Or not griefing. It's going to have limitations on the ability for one to grief other players, like a la Rust or anything else like that.
Again, though,
I don't know how you do it.
Especially
the big thing was the nuke.
A gameplay mechanic is literally built around griefing. It's built around get the nuke codes so you can fuck up other people's shit.
Yeah,
that was like a selling
feature.
It
did seem like it was extremely hard to do, but I think it's probably like Radiant, so it's probably procedurally generated. It's probably just a fetch quest.
Probably.
Right. So, but they also introduced, and I think the way that Todd Howard and friends are currently thinking about this, I don't remember what it's called. It's the little, looks like a wood chipper, little green thing, and that's like, you put stuff in top and it crafts your base. And basically you can press a button and all of it will go into it, and then you can move your base around. Okay, that's good in theory, but there's a couple ways that this doesn't make sense. Just without other players, if you were to do that, elevations would change depending on where you were at, so you'd have to find a flat piece of ground.
Especially West Virginia, mountainous.
And I don't know how that works unless there's some way to, like you can designate a structure and everything in it, and you can select and be like, okay, this is structure A, and that sets it alone.
Sure.
So, which maybe they'll do, I don't know. But, Is there a reason to defend your base if, in fact, you can just get it back for free?
I don't think it'll be a free thing. I think if your base gets destroyed and you continue to have the blueprints for them, you'll have to go out and get the resources to build them, but the building, it'll just be like, you have the resources, rebuild.
It's Fallout Rust, which I think will probably work better than Rust. I wonder if they're going to have, like, a raw resources mining thing.
Maybe. It's just, to me...
What I would like... In a single player game, if I'm just from a single player standpoint in Fallout, and by the way, later on they're going to have dedicated servers. At launch, they're not going to. So I think later on you're going to have single player servers you can just have.
I don't think that would even make sense because
depending on what their world is,
it's
I don't know.
Other than going out gathering resources, the entire game loop basically seems to me to be just
gather resources, build, and then it's like Rust
PvP mixed in there.
Yeah.
But, like...
Well, there's also questing, though. He said specifically there's questing, and he talked about it later in a talk.
The way they talk about it makes it clear to me it's going to be fetch quest, radiant quest, generic, go get X in Y location, you know?
I agree. It'll probably be like that. There might be some puzzles. I don't know how it works. I have no idea. It's probably going to be very bare bones, and for people that enjoy the combat and building aspects of Fallout 4, which is fine. They deserve a game if that's the things they like. That's fine. They can have their PvP. It's okay. But I think calling it a Fallout game, calling it Fallout 76 kind of lets them get away with it a little bit. But it feels very GTA Online-y, where they're kind of looking for a way to kind of have constant revenue. Like, are they only going to have the one map? Are we eventually going to be able to go elsewhere? Like, their ESO, which they did do a little bit of, I'm not a big fan of. Apparently, after the rework, it's been really good. But I watched some gameplay after the fact. Not into it.
No.
Was it Dan's Gaming, who was a Twitch streamer, and like he was having fun with it, but even the combat's changed, and so. By the way, VATS is still a thing, but it's in real time, which is what I thought it would be when we were talking about it. I'm kind of fine with that, and you can say they have older Pip-Boys, but that, like, VATS is like such an integral part of like the experience that I just don't think I'm really going to enjoy this game. So it's not for me, probably. But there's lots of people that are going to like it, so I can't begrudge them for making it, but it feels very cynical.
I agree. That's my problem with it. It's just and again, this is just a trend that the gaming industry in general.
Yeah.
The big studios getting more and more cynical, and Bethesda, in the past few years, has really upped its game to becoming one of the big studios.
Yeah.
And this is the direction they're going. Again, if people like that game, that's great, that's fine. It's just, for me personally, the entire draw of, like, the Elder Scrolls and Fallout is the lore and the story and the actually written out quest lines. You know what I mean? The characters, the interactions, the choices. And this is a Fallout game without any of that. It's just the bang, bang, shoot, shoot, and then build base stuff. And I think there are other games out there that do those things already and probably better with less bugs than Bethesda's online game, which we haven't even talked about, by the way. How buggy as shit is this going to be in the first week when 24 people are trying to work on it?
I'm wondering if they have more bugs with... See, my problem with the bugs in Fallout is they often seem to be like buggy physics, buggy weather conditions, stuff like that. It doesn't seem to have anything to do...
Sometimes I have just game crashes.
Right, that's what I'm saying, like, just a system failure. But, like, often the NPCs work fine. Like, they don't seem very complex. I've had some NPCs, you know, like, when you're in combat and something goes crazy, like, that happens, but that's just a physics-based problem. Like, as far as talking to NPC, like, just having it populated doesn't seem to be the issue.
Specifically, I know they were having problems, because I read an article about this after the presentation, because they brought in that new studio, I want to say Battleground Studios, that's now
Sounds right.
one of them. They essentially had to redo, and they're still working on the Creation Game Bro engine. Essentially, what it does, like most engines, it only renders what you're looking at, but it was done statically, you know, individually, because it was a single-player engine, and now they had to basically turn the Game Bro Creation engine into this multiplayer thing where it renders, you know, where everyone is looking. And that concerns me, because it multiplies the number of objects rendered by however many people.
I think you can outsource that to the individual consoles and then use the server to kind of, you know, collate that.
I'm worried about how
for lack of a better
laggy
term.
as fuck it's gonna be.
I'm worried it's not going to be very well optimized, but it could be. I have no idea. They have a whole... It's a different team working on it altogether, so...
I know Bethesda Software is still working on it, though, and it's still their original game engine code that they're altering.
Right, but I mean, they have a dedicated team to it, so I mean, they're professionals. I don't know if it's going to be good or not. If it is $20 and the reviews are good, and... Most importantly...
It's $60.
I know it is. But when it is, like, on Steam, $20 is kind of... Unless it's, like, amazing. Like, if it gets, like, ridiculous reviews, and I'm totally wrong about this, which I was about the Switch. We were both wrong about the Switch.
Yeah.
Totally could happen. I don't think it's going to, but it could happen. I think what they have to do specifically, which Bethesda doesn't do very well, is listen to fans in real time. Like, listen to feedback, because what the good companies do, I don't know, what's a good example of a really good Kickstarter game? Wasteland 2, or Darkest Dungeons, RimWorld, places like that, like those kinds of games, they update based on, like, player experience.
Yeah.
And so, like, at the beginning of Darkest Dungeon, for instance, which I'm a huge fan of, that game had really bad balance issues. It was fucking brutal, like even on easy.
Okay.
And now they have like different ways to play it, and it's roguelike, in that permadeath is a thing, but you have a roster of heroes, and it can kind of keep going. And there's not really a losing situation. There's just more of like it's going to be a fucking Sisyphean to even get up the hill.
Okay.
So, like, if Fallout specifically Bethesda and whoever's working on this game, if they look at this and they get feedback, they're like, man, we would really like squad base, like 4 co-op, like add a co-op mode where it's not against, and maybe do a horde thing. I think Fallout horde mode with one single base we all work on is fun. Conceptually, that idea sounds fun, especially if we have to go A to B with a MacGuffin in Fallout. I think something like that could be fun for us. Like, we could play an hour match with 2 other friends and enjoy that. If they want to have a more of a single player thing where it's just like, there's a mode in Minecraft, I forget what it's called, build mode maybe?
Creative mode.
Creative mode. So a creative mode just for offline play.
See, and again, I like the base building and stuff
Right,
in Fallout
but
4.
imagine like without raiders, without side quests, without main points. It's kind of okay. Like, and especially because you can build anywhere. You could build a series of cities, then you could invite your friends to traverse, and you could maybe like, oh, look what I made, like on Little Big Planet or something.
This game, honestly, I'm on board. If I could play this offline by myself in a mostly empty world, sure, there'll be like NPC enemies, like monsters, like the abominations.
Even if you can't make creative mode, even if it's just the single player Minecraft experience, I think that's viable.
Enjoy that. But private servers are not going to be a thing at launch, so I'm going to have to wait.
It's going to have to. So yeah, I'm desperately trying to find, like, to grab something and latch onto it in hope that this is good. And it's only ideas that aren't part of the game they talked about that I think are really good ideas. I don't mind a PvP system if I can opt into it.
Yeah.
Because Fallout inherently is kind of like... It's never been real brutal. It can be. You can turn it up. But... it's always been more about the exploration of the world.
So I gotta point this out. Someone said, Todd said you can play it single player. No. Todd said you can play it solo.
Yeah.
It's always online and
Yeah.
there are other players there.
Yeah.
That he just means you don't have to have friends to play it.
And that's now.
That's right now. Eventually there might be private servers, they've said.
I guarantee you're going to have offline play at one point because they're not going to be able to sell stuff.
But I want to be very clear. When this game comes out and you put this game in your system, you will be online with a world full of other players, period. There is not a version where you do not get to.
They didn't say... They said specifically that it wasn't a battle royale, and it's very big, so it's 4 times as big. So the odds of running into someone... unless you're in a cultural center, like one of the main points where you probably have to get, like even in Rust, which are huge, you run into people all the time, and I know the servers are a lot bigger there, but even having 24 people, like, there's only so many grid spaces, and just like if someone's shooting, it's clearly a person, because no one else has guns.
I'm curious what is going to end up happening, because they've said there's not going to be like a server list that you can look at or know what server
There's got to be a server list later.
Sure. Well, at the very least, there's a server list. It's just that the end user can't see it. But the thing is, I assume it'll matchmake, and it'll make sure that your base and stuff... because I'd imagine in the game there's a place that a lot of people like to build in various instances of the game.
Yeah.
Because for
I wonder
whatever
if it's procedural.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, what if I have a base in one area, and another player has a base in the same exact area, but in a different instance of the game? We cannot be match made together because our bases would overlap.
I wonder
It's gonna bottleneck if there are areas where people tend to build bases more.
What I'm thinking is every time you load in, you pop it out of that thing. That makes sense?
What do you mean?
No, the thing, I can't remember the name that they used for it. It had an acronym, and they're like, yeah, this is a base building button. And it's the green thing, and you just pop it out, and so you start the game with that in your inventory. You pop it out when you want to do it, and so every time you load in, it's different. I think that's the case.
Well, but then it's like, well, then my base is just a thing I'm carrying around with me.
Right.
It's just, I don't know. That's.
I agree. I totally agree with you. So I don't know how they reconcile that, because I was thinking about that as well. Or what if it's just
camp, CAMP? That makes sense.
Yeah. What if it's just real close to someone else, but it's not at the exact spot? Then you're forced into the situation where you're interacting. I don't know. Also,
obviously, no mods, at least until private servers, because
he said you can build anywhere.
Yeah.
So, if you can build anywhere, you can build on top of buildings, right?
I think so. That'd be cool. I don't know how much city.
What's
stuff
build
there's
anywhere
gonna be.
mean?
I don't
No,
know.
they showed cities and stuff in towns.
Okay.
It looked very much like Fallout 4 at the beginning. So yeah, I think that's probably it for Fallout 76. Are there any questions that we should address with Fallout 76? Let's take questions real quick.
I just wish they would have taken an extra year
Creation Club.
filled the year with filled the world with interesting quests.
Now he says you can't build. Your base will disappear, and your base has a blueprint, and you can't build in certain areas. So, yeah, we're getting... Even Todd is saying different shit.
Okay.
Like, he said it in the presentation, you can build anywhere.
They might not.
In it, you can't build anywhere. So, all the people that build in point A don't get match made together. But what if you and I play separately? You know, but then we have to play together after that. It's all too vague. It gave me anger.
I agree. The vagueness with which people are saying they think he was very clear. I think that presentation was not very clear necessarily. Again, we had someone earlier was like, he said you can play alone. No, he said you can play solo, which is a misleading statement.
Well, I'll buy it no matter what because Bethesda owns me. Opinions on the role-playing being reliant on the players. You're not going to get a lot of that.
No, absolutely not. People are not big on that. Online.
Yeah, solo is where that's at.
Again, this is where private servers would come in. It'd be great if there was a server.
A roleplay server?
Right.
Decent?
Where it's like, if you want to be on this server,
like
that's
old
great.
school AOL Instant Messenger-esque. Yeah.
Sure. But like, if you want to be on this server, play a character, or you get kicked. That'd be fine. Again, for that specific server. I'm not saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Whatever.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to get this bullshit about, players are going to interact with each other, emergent storytelling. Horse shit. Todd Howard is saying this shit so he doesn't have to say, yeah, we didn't put any quests of thought into the story of the game, you guys do it. That's how I read that, at least.
Twitch streams, I feel like role-playing Twitch streams will be fun to watch. Maybe.
And again, like...
There's lots of opportunity here for creative people to make this a cool game, but I don't think the base game's interesting.
Specifically, you and I have talked about, Kenneth. We want to do, if we could do a private server where it's just him and just I, a prequel to Kenneth where I'm Kenneth and he's Kenneth's wife.
Yeah.
And we're, like, I don't know, we'd probably be building stuff.
Advancing, arguing about how our house should be laid out.
Sure. But we can't do that, well, if people are fucking, nuking us and trying to shoot us all the time. Like, we can't...
Yeah.
We can't work under these conditions.
What if? Anyway, I would do that, by the way. So if private servers become a thing, I think that's pretty great.
And yes, Fallout 4 was also garbage role play wise, but this is even more so. This is less.
Yeah.
This isn't an RPG. I can't complain. It's not an RPG. That's not what they're marketing it as.
Well, there's a level up system and stuff like that, but I don't think role play, like leveling up, is not an RPG.
No. That's common in like most action games at this point, some sort of leveling or upgrade system.
Right, with RPG aspects in a traditional RPG, I would agree with. Well, yeah. Is there anything else we want to talk about, or we want to talk about Starfield?
I think that's it.
I kind of want to talk about Starfield.
Okay, let's talk about Starfield
because it makes me have glee. By the way, this is supposed to come out next year.
Is it supposed to come out next year?
The way he said that is in the year to come and the years to come.
Maybe. We'll see.
You know
I've
what I'm
also
saying?
heard rumors that Starfield is supposed to be next gen. And that the next gen is supposed to come out in 2020.
I heard that about Elder Scrolls. This is next gen.
Well, they're not mutually exclusive. They could both be.
That's fair.
But anyway.
I gotta sneeze. I'm gonna do it with my eyes open. It's gonna happen.
It's not. This eye was definitely open. I couldn't see the other one. Okay. Good for you. So, what were we fucking talking about?
I want to see GIFs of that.
Starfield.
I want to see video breakdown of that shit.
Todd said Starfield would be a next-gen game. So yeah.
Really?
So probably 2020 then when the next-gen of consoles comes out. 2 more years on these consoles, I think that's fair. I think that's a reasonable amount of time until the PlayStation 5.
Honestly, if Starfield comes out, it's a thing that would make me buy a system, so...
Yeah.
I might buy a bundle.
I'm excited. Obviously, we saw almost nothing of the game. It was a pre-rendered trailer, but it's their space sci-fi RPG. This is going to be their next tentpole next to your Fallouts and your Skyrims, or your Elder Scrolls games. I hope, considering this is supposed to be a game in space, I'm hoping you're going to be able to,
have a ship fly around.
Have a ship fly around. Don't be the Game Bro engine. Stop it. Stop it. They've been using the same goddamn engine since Morrowind. New engine! You need it. Especially considering, God, I'd want it to be almost... How do I put this in a way that doesn't sound bad? You know No Man's Sky? You know how in that game you can, like, land on planets and take off and, like, the whole planet's there? I'd love if they could do that with the Bethesda single-player RPG. Obviously, the planet the planet scale would be small, don't get me wrong, and there'd be a limited number of planets.
What I'm thinking is, the way to make this work is...
Unless they really do procedurally generated really well, too.
I don't think they're going to. Well, procedurally generated would fuck up how they usually run games.
A lot of the dungeons in Elder Scrolls 4 were procedurally generated, actually. I know, that was a complaint of that game.
What I think you could do is make the planets in between travel, so when you get to a planet, make it like opening the door to a closed-off building. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So, like, once you press, I want to land, you land and you're in a spot, and that's fine. I don't need to fly around in the atmosphere of that place. I think...
God, that's so much of the fun of, like, a space exploration game, though, is the seeing a planet. You know what I mean? And
I agree.
But I get it.
I agree. I just don't... I'm worried if... Just based on technology and technological limits, that we would get a shitty No Man's Sky. Yeah. But I'm really excited about this. Now, we made a video about this probably a year and a half ago, maybe longer. And there's some speculative information about Starfield you might enjoy listening about.
Yeah, I'll talk about this. This was actually, like, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
This was, like...
2 E3s ago. Fallout 4.
Something like that. Yeah. There was a leak on 4chan. I know 4chan, but they had this right. They had Starfield right, even down to the name. And they said, essentially...
Well, Bethesda has had the rights to Starfield since 2012 or something.
I know, it's been a while. But anyway, the running rumor is that it's this futuristic space RPG.
Yeah.
And within, you will find out, this is going to be more Easter eggy, I don't think this is going to be, like, tied to the main plot of the game or anything, but essentially, it ties all of Bethesda's RPG games into one universe in which you find out Fallout comes first, there was the world, and then there was an apocalypse, then someday, far in the future, Starfield happens, where you're in, like, a futuristic sci-fi world, more traditional sci-fi, and then... Further, way after that is Elder Scrolls, which takes place so far into the future, things are like magic.
People's biology.
You know what I mean?
I think that's interesting. I like the idea of the future being the past.
I think that's fun for an Easter eggy little thing.
Yeah.
I've always thought that it would have been a fun little, like Skyrim quest or something if you, like... There's like a bunch of...
Power armor?
No, not even that. My idea for a quest, either in Fallout or Skyrim, if it's Skyrim, for instance, it would be, there's a bunch of necromancers or something trying to open some portal, and then they do so, and like a Deathclaw comes out. Or vice versa in the Fallout universe. Someone's trying to open a science-y portal. A fucking Elder Scrolls thing comes out. I get it, it's funny.
A dragon.
A dragon, whatever, sure. And like, in Fallout 4, you can find what looks to be Nirnroot as well.
Yeah.
Which is a genetically modified crop that they're working on in a place in Fallout 4.
I think
the
seeds,
seeds of this are already there.
Yeah, I think so as well. I also think you might have, to kind of further plant those seeds, so later on, whether it's in this Starfield or...
Oh, and the implication will also be, by the way, like, some of the alien races are sort of proto... Elder Scrolls races.
Like elves and shit like that.
Yeah.
What I think you're going to see in Starfield, and this is just based on that theory, I think what you're going to see are biotic-type powers on your characters, where it's tech, and then later on down the line, after a million years of evolution, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, that just kind of melds with human anatomy and alien anatomy and whatever.
Sure.
I would not be surprised at all if in Starfield, an alien race very much resembles an orc.
See, I've thought the one that they specifically mentioned in the leak thing was there's a race that's very much like the High Elves.
I figured the High Elves.
And not necessarily because in even I think Elder Scrolls mythos, this is general to most like.
Are there gonna be
fantasy-
2 moons, by the way? Because that'd be dope.
Oh man, it'd be great if one of the planets.
You know what's actually cooler?
The
is one moon and then an exploded one. Because then time lapse, it would eventually coalesce into another moon.
It'd be kind of cool. The cosmology of the Elder Scrolls universe is really weird, though.
Yeah.
It's not space as we know it, and like certain planets are like the bodies of dead gods. Although they could explain that that's just mythology. That's not really what it is. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. There's lots of really cool implications if Starfield is in fact in the same universe as the other two and comes before Elder Scrolls, but after Fallout.
Anyway, just as Starfield is a general idea, we've seen them do post-apocalypse, we've seen them do fantasy. I'm a huge fan of sci-fi.
A high concept sci-fi I'm in for.
I'm interested to see what that universe is like. I think when their writing is on point, I think it's been not that as much lately, but when it's on point, their lore could be really interesting, and they can write really interesting stories, so I'd like to see what they can do in this space sci-fi realm.
I agree.
God, was there... Oh, God.
It makes me want to talk about Cyberpunk, but we gotta wait for another live stream for that.
I'll just say this. With my concerns for Bethesda currently and how they're treating their RPGs moving forward, I am very glad CD Projekt Red is out there creating competition to say, for those who do want a more intensive RPG experience, Cyberpunk 2077
We're gonna have a
exists.
whole live stream about Cyberpunk.
Oh, are we? Okay.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay, good.
But I think we move on to Elder Scrolls 6, which doesn't have a ton to talk about. But I want to speculate because I fucking love doing that. So
I don't think there's anything to talk about. I don't think anyone should give Bethesda points. That trailer has nothing to do with anything. They were just like, we gotta tell them we're doing the Elder Scrolls. Put a mountain and a Roman numerals.
He said, and this may be misleading, but he did say while he was talking to Jeff Keighley after that thing that there are things in that trailer to break apart for fans.
I've heard...
I don't know if that's...
I've heard High Rock.
I've heard Valenwood.
Okay, well, I've heard High Rock in the curvy sword one. Where the red guards come from. I'm forgetting the fucking Seminole.
Sword...
Hammerfell. That's it. I really want one. I'd love to see a new Elder Scrolls game based out of God, sorry, I'm forgetting, but wherever the hell High Elves, the Thalmor, are from, because Skyrim was so. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was obviously magic and stuff, and there were the shouts, but Skyrim was a country very much devoid of magic in the culture. You know what I mean? They're a warrior culture for the most part.
Sure.
So I want to see another one where magic is like in the architecture. It's in some, like when you have like a mage's college, more of it's fantastical and stuff. I missed that from Oblivion. I felt like again, this has to do with me being younger probably too, but
Oblivion's hard to play.
Magical. Yeah.
Well, I think I agree with you though. Even though I played Skyrim more than I played Oblivion. But Skyrim, by the way, I couldn't find Easter egg information on that, but I'm sure it's out there. I just have to dig a little bit. It just sent me to Wiki pages. But if you know any of the Easter eggs, please let us know. Skyrim had a very first season of Game of Thrones feel. Does that make sense? Where it's like low magic, medieval. And then even later...
Low fantasy.
Low fantasy. It was very political and very medieval in nature. And sure, that you could be a magic person. There's a dragon right at the beginning, but like...
Kind of since Morrowind, they've been going less... Morrowind was very high fantasy, and then Oblivion less so, because it was in Cyrodiil.
There's some really great concepts in just Elder Scrolls in general. It's hard to write fantasy that much.
Sure.
I mean... there's a lot of stuff going on, but I like all the gods. A lot of them are pernicious, and there's lots of personality there. There's the guy with the mace,
Morag Ball or
that's
something
the
like
one,
that.
Molag Bal. I think Morag.
Something like that.
That one's a fun quest. There's the tricky one at the dinner table.
Shay Gorath.
That's the one.
He's great. That whole DLC in Oblivion was really good too.
Yeah. Well, Shivering Isles is one of the best DLCs. Of all time.
That was when we were still riding the lines between when
expansion and DLC.
When people still use the word expansion packs.
Yeah, well, Sims still uses the word expansion packs. That actually makes sense, though.
I guess. But
or do they use DLC now? I don't remember. But I'm really looking forward to a new engine, hopefully. Which I think they are probably working on because they keep saying next generation game. Like they changed a lot for Fallout 4.
they didn't change the engine though.
No, but they changed parts of how it works.
But
Anyway,
that's what they've been doing since the beginning. It's
no,
just
I agree.
tweaking.
I agree.
You got to start from the ground up.
I think they have to make a new engine as well. So we'll see if it works. I'm very, very excited for both of those games.
The rumor is Todd Howard's ultimate goal with Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls 8, right?
7, I think. His
7?
His ultimate goal is to have the entire continent of Tamriel in one game.
Yeah.
It'd be great if that could happen. Not happening with Game Bro.
Yeah, no. The way they render shit is just wrong. It doesn't make any sense. And I mean, just buggy in general. I think you have to hand make a brand new engine, and it has to just be stable. Like, lead for stability. Like, simplicity will help you be stable, but I don't know a ton about coding, but like when you see these other open world like Grand Theft Auto doesn't have that many bugs, and it's fucking huge. And I understand there are different games entirely, but like
It's also just got to be more streamlined because you look at the number of objects on screen when stuff starts to stutter in like a Bethesda game versus like a Rockstar game. It's insane.
Yeah,
like,
because a lot of those could be set pieces.
Minimal stuff fucks stuff up in the Elder Scrolls games generally.
Yeah, it's like a baseball on a table go brrrr. So yeah, it's I don't know. I don't think we're gonna get a multiplayer version of any of these, but I honestly would like to be able to import you into like my dungeon diving in Elder Scrolls or whatever, and just have like, or even a co-op campaign separate from the main story where we can import our characters. I'm fine with that too. Like, give me 4 hours or something, and give me some horde modes. Give me some random radiant dungeons that get progressively harder. I'm fine with that because all I want to do when I'm with you.
Sure.
Or another friend, as I just want to be alongside you in a dungeon. It doesn't have a lot to do with the roleplay aspect. Now you can have a roleplay server or whatever if you like that. Like we play D&D, but that's not D&D. This is like let's go get some loot. Let's find some cool. It's Destiny.
Yeah,
and I like
fantasy Destiny.
That's why Destiny is some people really like it, even though I hate their business model and refuse to do it. That's why it works, is because people want to play with their friends, compare loot.
Yeah.
Upgrade their shit, and it's just a cool idea of progression. So.
I recognize Daggerfall as the entirety of Tamriel. Not, you know what I mean, though. Like an actual by hand made, not some procedurally generated thing. One of the original old Elder Scrolls was like the entire continent, but it was just,
procedural.
Yeah.
Oh. Rip.
But
so. Anything else that we have to talk about for Bethesda?
I don't think so. Mostly, I there's nothing I'm upset about, really. Yeah. I think the marketing was a little misleading, but you disagree, so I can't really say it's like
misleading. Again, it's like it was just viral marketing. It wasn't like they put on there like another single player campaign from Bethesda, and then it wasn't.
No, but that's obviously the default assumption, and when you
I didn't, because it came out so soon. It was called Fallout 76.
I was assuming maybe Fallout New Vegas situation, because there was precedent for that.
See, I wasn't, because I have no faith that they will go back to some place like Obsidian to get something good like that. And they haven't since.
I don't know.
Because they put unrealistic expectations on the company. Even though Vegas is probably the best one.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know.
Anyway, so if you have any questions, let's open her up for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Really hope ES6 has better quest lines than Skyrim. There's some good quests in Skyrim. I can't imagine Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be worse, though.
Specifically, the
Radiant.
not even those. The various like groups. I don't, what
Oh
do
yeah,
they call
Blades and
Yeah, like I remember
the faction quests.
I still remember the Thieves Guild quest.
Thieves Guild one is the only one I really liked.
No,
the Wizard one I didn't like.
I think the one from Oblivion, the Thieves Guild quest, is
Oh.
way better. I think most of the guild quests are way better in Oblivion, actually.
I didn't see the thing about the guild stuff is you didn't have to be a thief character to really excel at the thief stuff in Skyrim.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
everything's very flattened out in Skyrim because it's
I
again
want
it's more
see.
broad
I
appeal.
want if I'm going to be a thief and I'm going to go to the Thieves Guild, lock me into that decision as this character. Right? I understand like letting everyone play all the things. That's fine, whatever. But I don't want that. Like maybe make it an achievement to get like, oh, this is my thief.
Yeah.
Get a thief to level 20. It makes you invest 20 levels into a character. Okay. And then after that, you do a wizard. And then once you get like a certain amount of achievements in whatever, 6 or 7 classes or whatever, say, okay, but now you can just do jack of all trades. And then you can do another character where you do all of it. Because part of the reason I love those games, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, even though Fallout 3 has a lot of problems. Vegas has problems too, but mods make a whole world difference. And even Skyrim and Fallout 4 to an extent, Fallout 4, heavily modded. Like just being able to like replay it in a different way, which is why Fallout 4 gets a very big caveat there, because you kind of can't. That's the reason. Like, oh, this is my thief character. Oh, now I'm playing a barbarian run. Oh, now I'm gonna do a wizard.
Yeah.
Like those are the really really cool things, and I think locking people into classes in some way is beneficial. Like say
Oblivion had classes.
Right, I know. I'm saying like actually locking people in because kind of their selling point to Skyrim was there's no classes. Sure. There's points, which I like the point system. It lent to like you got better at stuff just like in Oblivion and Morrowind. As you do stuff, like you could just jump around and gain agility. But shooting and hitting with a bow helps. Blocking shots helps your shield. Like that's intuitive and that feels good. But add that system to a class, and now they tried to do this with the stones in Skyrim, where you like, now your thief skills go up fast or whatever.
It was too watered down.
It was very watered down. I want to pick a class. Make me, as part of the main story, pick a guild.
Sure.
So I'm classless for 5 levels, or however many levels it takes for me to get to that point, and then have me pick, and then give me perks specific to those classes, so I have to make a call.
Yeah.
Maybe after you beat the game, it doesn't matter, you can do all of them, but while you're playing the game, I think having the archetypal thief character, even if he has some magic or whatever, like arcane tricksters are things in D&D, eldritch knights as far as fighters in D&D, there's warlocks, and like, have me, and the way the magic works, let me do spellcrafting, let me do some cosmetic changes whenever I want to the clothing.
They'll change the weapons.
To the weapons. I think they're gonna pull the Fallout 4 stuff a little bit, but I want to actually really, really change details.
Sure.
And even to the point where in some games back in the day, you could I forget which ones, but you could make your own logos and shit in a logo creator. It was like pixel by pixel. If you want, like Forza does that.
Yeah.
Let me do shit like that. I mean, just let me get after it, even if it takes resources like dyes and yarn and shit or paint. Let me get after it. It's weird. I want to be locked in to choices I make in a Bethesda game.
Well, because when you're not, everything
it feels like there's no consequence.
There's no consequence. It feels like everything's just, I'm just, yep.
Like
it's a big Skinner box where I'm doing shouts and going to get dragon stuff, but at the end of the day,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't feel like anything has.
Yeah, that's kind of like one of the big draws, and I'm going to mention it again. D&D for me is like when you're a character, every level up is important. You're working towards something. So if you want to go, I don't know, I have a warlock sorcerer that I play in a campaign, and if I want my highest level spells, I can only take 3 levels in Sorcerer, and then 17, because the max level of 20, in Warlock, if that's what I want to do. But if I was a fighter class, I might not need those high level spells. And so I can maybe be a fighter rogue, something
Yeah.
else, with maybe a little bit of magic mixed in there, just so I have some utility. Like, there's different ways to do this, and that's what I want. So, like, while I can learn some magic, and by the way, I don't want to start out with spells.
Yeah.
If at the beginning of the game, give me
don't-
backgrounds. Be like, are you a
just gonna-
fighter? Are you a acolyte? Are you a priest? Are you... So this gives me my base skill sets.
I was gonna say certain backstories could have like
Yeah.
pick from these 4 level 1 spells or whatever. Or
Sure.
whatever they are.
Yeah. So we have pick 2 of these, or if you pick fighter, you get like you start out with different equipment. Like start me out somewhere that's not just blank.
Yeah.
Like
In Skyrim, all you had were the racial bonuses, which
Right.
I like having the classes and stuff on top of that to build upon.
right, I love have racial background classes. I mean, the structure is there already. I think you can make a really rewarding game. And again, at end game or after a certain point, maybe your 5th or 6th character can just be whatever. That's fine. I have no problem allowing someone to just level maximally forever after you beat the game on like a certain difficulty level or whatever.
Sure.
If you choose to. And maybe you opt in at the beginning of the game because I think it would ruin subsequent playthroughs. You have to delete your old files. But
Yeah.
yeah, really make me lock in. And kind of taking a note from Fallout, if you're going to do the build mechanic, which I think is sticking around in Bethesda games
Yeah.
for the foreseeable, which is fine because I like it, make that mean something. Give me many options on where to pick, but say, like, this is your spot. Like,
Yeah.
this is it. What's going to happen from here on out is this is your home base. This is important. If you want to have it in the city, you'll be limited on what you can build, but it'll be safer. If you want it out, it'll be something you have to guard and protect, and you'll have to hire bodyguards. You'll have to... Like, the idea of that, you're having a smile on your face because it's interesting.
I was just thinking of the idea of like, oh, you're in a city. Oh, you can buy instead of buying a house in a city, buying
buy-
a plot of land and being able to build something within a city would be very cool.
Right, but you'd be restricted to that plot of land.
Yeah.
If I buy a couple acres somewhere, I'm not in a city, but I'm susceptible to like a giant.
Sure.
That
But you have
comes
more
by.
room and maybe you can
I have
build
more
walls
room, and like maybe I can make my own castle, or over time, maybe there's a subplot to the creation stuff where maybe some of the people around you aren't very happy with your economic success at a certain point. I think this adds a lot of layers to something.
I was gonna say, I'd love if you could, like, in the wilderness, build your own place, build it up into a keep, build it up into a castle. Oh, all of a sudden someone's
city.
like,
Can I live
someone's, yeah, I like this land. Could I maybe farm on it and I'll build a little house?
Fealty?
Kinda.
I don't hate it. Like, I mean, that's a cool idea. And even if it's built in, even if it's like a quest line,
Yeah.
as long as I can build whatever I want on it, and it has to be structured in a certain way. I don't know. I can't really be procedural.
Yeah.
At least not with the technology now. And I think that's just, it's got too many variables. Like, it's not D&D. It's not in our minds. It's something physical that has to represent itself in code, and then it has to show up digitally. So you can have it like a certain pathway, but you just hide those from the player. Like, at a certain threshold of economic success, maybe this happens. Don't advertise it as a quest. It might just happen.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you go back and, like, say, just, have it prompt the next time you take a real rest in your keep. And then when you walk out the front door, maybe designate the front door, because I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It starts a quest when you pop outside of your shit of like, oh, hey, a person wants to live here. Do you want them to live here? This was what it will offer you. This will be the negatives. Let's move on from there. And now you have this game where maybe you were a thief and you made good. Maybe you're sort of a hero. I would also like a Skyrim where we're clearly the bad guy at some point. Like, they try, but it doesn't really work because both sides are shitty in that
Sure.
in that overall conflict. Like, are you for the government or are you for libertarians? Is basically what it was. There's so many ideas that you could just do from a game design perspective to really make this an RPG. Even if it has to have limitations, it's not a tabletop. It's not, it's not just something that we can just shit out. It has to be structured in some way. And add me some high fantasy. Like, give me some really good shit.
Yeah, someone says they don't care about RPG, they care about selling to a wide audience. I recognize that's a thing, but I also think in the continued watering down of their game, they're gonna lose, at a certain point, some mainstream support. I recognize that Skyrim was their most successful game, I understand why, but I think there is still an audience.
But they had RPG elements, high ones.
Skyrim? Skyrim was one of their
well, okay. I agree. I agree in respect to their older games. I mean, as far, if you start at Fallout 3 and you come to now, I think it's their most just a Bethesda game because I think Vegas probably beats it.
Sure.
I think it's their most obvious, very open, like as a single player experience. You can be a thief. You're just not locked into it. You can be whatever. It's so open that it feels like less of an RPG than it should be if you were locked into class. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, that's the R in RPG. That's the
I
whole
understand,
point.
right? And that's why I think it is very role play if you would like to be. And there's lots of dialogue options. I just don't. It's not a very interesting place.
No.
So I'm not very like I have not sunk very much time into Skyrim relative to some of my peers. So
I can understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on about what I want to see in an Elder Scrolls game. Like, I want the same shit, by the way, in a Fallout game. It's just a little bit different because I don't think ever having a real functional city in Fallout is viable.
Yeah.
Just for the ambiance of the whole game itself. So I think, as much as I don't really care for locking that in, I think a similar situation in Fallout would have to happen where you're locked into certain building areas, much like Fallout 4. But again, it has a gameplay element that will lead to, like, if you just have a shitty little hut and stuff, like, people will not come towards you, but you're not gonna have the shit that you want.
Okay.
Right? And as you build more, and I know it's kind of over the top, so they have like the Tesla coil shit and they have all the other stuff. But as you get that stuff, it should be harder to maintain it. And I don't mean from a I have to physically pour fuel into a generator. I mean, people are going to want your shit. Right? In that world, right?
Sure.
It's going to be the same way in Skyrim on a lesser degree just because they do have city-states.
Yeah.
Or I say Skyrim, Elder Scrolls.
I know.
But, yeah, because it's kind of scrounging. And the idea that Fallout has a really big problem with resources in general. Like, the fact that I can pop out of a vault and immediately I'm the richest person on the planet is crazy. Like, that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
All the time. Like, have things be 1 or 2 caps and have the really great stuff be like 1,000 caps. Like, that's the only change you need to make to your economy to make it really work.
Sure.
So, is there anything else?
I don't think so.
Just my wish list.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. Someone asked what one of my favorite RPGs are. My 2 favorite RPGs: Oblivion, Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Did you beat that?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, me either. It's real hard.
Yeah.
It was a little buggy, but they... that's another good example of a... Did they kickstart? I don't know if they kickstarted.
Did they?
I think they kickstarted.
I don't remember.
Anyway, that's a really good example of a company really
I think they
listening.
did. They did.
I think so, too. Really listening to people that buy their game.
Yeah.
And are like, hey, it's buggy. I might just start it over. I almost wish I got it for console.
Yeah.
I hear it's hard, though, on console. Harder than Click. But, anyways.
Yeah, that's it.
Well,
so
good. My favorite RPGs, Knights of the Old Republic 2, which is an unpopular decision.
I'm going to call my shot right now and say one of my favorites is going to get supplanted by Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
I'm betting it's going to be Oblivion.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying, Bethesda. I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
But you're going to lose out. I don't know. I guess I can't say that.
Trying to think of a game I played.
Get a million people who would just want fucking Far Cry, but in the Fallout universe, they'll all buy the game, and I'll be sad as Todd Howard bathes in money and my disappointed...
A non-D&D RPG I'm having a really hard time thinking of. So, name some RPGs for me, because I genuinely don't know what my set number 2 is.
Oh god, RPGs. Any of the Final Fantasy games?
No. Because they're RPGs, like they're JRPGs. Those are very different beasts.
Okay.
Like, I'm not role-playing. I don't believe that I'm Cloud. I don't pretend to talk in his voice. I mean, it's not me, it's Cloud.
Someone says Paper Mario. I haven't played
Paper Mario is really good, but again, I'm talking like from a role-play perspective where character is me, I am character. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So I like...
By that definition, though, like, Witcher 3 wouldn't necessarily fall into that because you're playing...
That's an action RPG anyway.
Okay.
Wasteland 2 might be up there. It's really, really great. But yeah, so that's, I mean... Anyway.
I guess that's it. Until next time, I'm Hugo.
Jake! I gotta go shut this off.
Alright, you do that.
Oh!
Look at how big my pit stain is.
Dude, you got super sweaty. Now I'm sweaty, though, actually. It's hot in here.
It's hot in here.
It is very hot in here. It's like a sauna.
New Jordan Peterson vid tomorrow.